Ladies and gentlemen, gamers of all ages, welcome to Tric Trac TV. Today I'm joined by Amory from the Morning Players group, and we're going to be talking about this, a very interesting little game called Kumo. Well, it's got sumo wrestlers in it, so I don't know if you can kind of define it as small. Normally we start these videos with the game out on the table, but I think it's very important with this one to kind of delve into it, because the process of actually opening the game is quite a pleasant one. So if I can just get the sleeve off, there we go, starting off well. Sleeve, main box. Now you don't normally have this on your main boxes. This is just signed by the author, which was nice of them. Box open, very nicely presented with the rules, all such at the back, up, and then it all comes out from there. So we have the base game board, which I'll let you lay out, up, a little bit of padding. The main arena, call it an arena.
The rotating arena.
The rotating arena, which kind of just slots on there.
Exactly.
You can rotate around. Some sumo sheets.
Exactly.
Now it's a game for 2 to 4 players, so there are 4 sheets.
Exactly.
Of course. Up, and then at the bottom you have the main pieces. So you have the monolith. Is that what's known as the Kumo?
It's the stone of balance. Actually.
The stone of balance.
Yeah.
There we go. And then of course you have your sumo players, which are actually represented by tiny dice like these. Each one has a unique little face. Up, put that under the, so you guys can see closer. They're really nice quality dice, proper wood. Up, each one has a different face, which we'll go through each of them afterwards,
yeah.
But they represent the different actions you can take. So there's one set, and there's another one. Up, so the game comes really nicely presented. These are action tokens, I believe.
Exactly,
just to keep track of how many actions you've taken. And all the rest goes back in there. Up, really like how they store the rules in this. These are all little rules pamphlets, very, very nice. Craft cardboard box. Up, I left the padding out, but that doesn't matter. In we go, and then up, I have a game box to show off. There you go, that is Kumo. But the game itself, so tell us how, it looks good, but how does it play?
How does it play? So, a bit of backstory at first. So, a long time ago, the gods passed down earth to mankind, and they put a temple at the between the earth and the skies. And they put the stone of balance at the middle of the temple. It's to represent, to symbolize the union between the gods and mankind. There's been one guardian of the temple, but now is growing old, and a great tournament has been organized to find a replacement for Kenjiso, the former guardian. So we are fighters, we are competitors to become the new Kumo Hogosha, the new guardian of the clouds.
Right.
We are fighters in this arena, so what can we do? At our turn, we have 5 actions. So you can see them maybe
on the little tile. There we go.
I think yours is in French.
Mine may be in French. Is yours in English?
Just
you flip it over,
yeah.
and there we go. Perfect.
Exactly.
Multi-language.
So you have 5 available actions, but you have actually one mandatory action that you have to take at your turn. Is to rotate the arena 90 degrees. 90 degrees in any direction you want. So
and does that have to be at the beginning or any time you want? You just have to do it.
Any time of your turn.
Okay, but you have to do it.
Yeah, it's any of the 5 actions.
Right.
So you may also have your kumotori enter the arena. It's always on the first line in front of you. You may have them perform the action showed on the active face of the dice. I'll come back on the active face of the dice and the movements you can do later. You can have him move one spot. You can change the active face, which is now 4 actions. You can, it's 5. Yeah, it's 4 actions. And the last thing you can do is to get out of prison. So let's say one of your Kumo is in prison. So let's say this is your prison.
Captured.
Been captured. So this is your prison. You captured my kumotori. I can spend 1 action point to free my kumotori, so it goes back on my board.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's go then to the actions listed on the.
Okay.
Exactly. Here you have them listed on the mats.
Each one, of course, corresponding
exactly.
to one of the sides of the cubes.
Yeah, and each face of the dice show the 6 actions.
Gotcha.
So the first action you have is to run.
Run.
When you run, so you have your kumotori enter. When you run, you can move 2 spots in an adjacent way.
Okay.
So you can move like this, horizontally, or in an L.
Right.
You can never move diagonally.
Okay.
Never.
Important.
You can also throw. When you throw, you take an adjacent kumotori, so either your own or one of the opponents, and you can throw him on the next adjacent spot. So I took mine, I pushed it here.
Gotcha.
let's say we're like this, I can take your and put it in prison. When you put a Kumo-tree in your own camp, when you put the Kumo-tree of the opponent in your own camp, you put it in prison.
Your own camp being when you push him over the line of your side of the board.
Exactly, when you put it here on the stern.
Because your line doesn't rotate with the board. You have your side of the board, they have theirs.
Let's say we played a bit, we're like this extra. If I throw you here, you're in prison.
Okay,
it's
that
my
not being the
camp
throw
here.
face though, that's
exactly.
that's
the throw
face. There we go.
Exactly.
Okay. Right, so you could throw them
exactly
off that side and he would then go into
exactly.
Okay.
Another way to push a Kumo-tree in prison would be with the grab action.
Okay.
So with the grab action, I grab either my Kumo-tree or your Kumo-tree, and I can push him, I grab him, and then I can move with him.
Okay.
So I can move with him horizontally.
So push and pull or...
Exactly.
Okay.
I can never move diagonally, so I can push him in my camp.
Once again,
it goes to prison.
Okay.
Exactly. I can also jump. Jump is this action here. So I can jump above. I can jump above your Kumo-tree, so my opponent's. I can jump above my Kumo-tree, and I jump onto the next adjacent spot. So I'll move two. I'll jump over two.
And if there were 3 people lined up, you could jump over 3?
I can jump over 3.
Okay.
And even if you have the stone of balance here, I can jump
intriguing.
above
so you're quite the distance.
the stone of balance here.
Okay.
It's the next 3 adjacent spot.
Okay.
Then I have the block action. So when you block a Kumo-tree, it's this action you have here on your board. When I block a Kumo-tree, I must be on adjacent spot, and I go and I put it over above the Kumo-tree of my opponent. So this Kumo-tree here, the dark one, is blocked. You cannot move it on your next turn.
Okay.
And I have to unblock it on the next turn. So I have to use 1 action point to move my own Kumo-tree.
Right, okay.
And if you're a bit tricky, you can block my blocker. So let's say we're like this, so you can block my blocker. So my Kumo-tree is blocked, your Kumo-tree is blocked. So, but you have to use 1 action point, I have to use 1 action point extra.
Right, I see. Okay.
Last is, one last thing is that it's some kind of a code of honor between Kumo-tree. You cannot block a Kumo-tree on the 8 spots between the stones. So let's say the stone's here, your Kumo-tree is here, I cannot block it here, but then I can block it here.
You can. Okay.
Exactly.
So any square which is adjacent to the stone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any of the 8 spots adjacent, squares adjacent to the stone. Last action is the Kumo hold, the Kumo position. When you're on Kumo position, you see there is a little 2
just there
on the top left-hand corner. So you have to have 2 Kumo-trees adjacent to the stone, so never diagonally, adjacent on a cross, 2, and your Kumo-tree must be adjacent to one another, to push, to pull, or to slide with the stone.
Okay.
And the idea, as it is a goal of the game, to push the stone into your opponent's
right, into your opponent's side. Okay.
Your opponent's side. One last thing is that you cannot throw a Kumo-tree out, your own Kumo-tree out.
Right.
Your Kumo cannot retreat.
Okay, so technically you couldn't win by doing that.
No, I win by doing that.
Yep, but you couldn't win by having it like that.
No,
because that would mean this Kumo would have to go out with the stone.
Yeah, it's tolerated for first players for the first rounds, but it's better not to do it like that. It's also a code of honor to not throw out your Kumo-trees.
Makes sense. Do you have to be adjacent, to push the stone?
Yeah,
can you be like that?
No, your 2 Kumo-trees have to be adjacent one another.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So maybe one or two things. When you have, because at the beginning you have all your Kumos on your mat.
Of course.
Like that. And you have to get them out, so put them on the board until you have only 3. So on the first rounds, you have to get out, you have to deploy 3 dice, 3 Kumo-tree dices. It can be 1 per turn, it can be 2 then 1, it could be all 3, etc. But you have to, and then when you have only 3, you can manage them, extra. Gotcha. But you have to get them out. And then if you want some tips, if you want some little...
It does come across as a very sort of chess-like game.
Exactly.
In a way.
But
even though the theme is obviously a lot more developed.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm losing my words there. So how would you... What's like some, like you say, some tips or some opening moves?
Exactly. So for some opening moves, so let's say we are at the beginning, we're like this. My first move would be to rotate the arena. Then I have a cumulatory enter. So let's say I have him on the grab action, like that. And then I have another one on, let's say, jump. No, throw action. So my grabber can move the 2 here.
Right, for one action.
For one action. And for one action point, I can move 2. So it's really effective. And then this one, I can put him here.
By throwing him with the other one.
Exactly. So in only 2 or 3 actions, I can have my 2 here. So
at which point, if you turn them over to the Kumo side the next turn, they can then start moving it about.
I can instantly move them.
Gotcha.
One of the other thing which is quite funny is to have them throw each other. So you have one like that, which is quite funny.
Yep.
So you move quite, you can move quite fast. And also one of the things to do when, and I told about that, when you block a cumulatory is to block the blocker of your own cumulatory, so that you have some advantage.
Yes. You decide when it ends at that
exactly.
point.
And one last thing I didn't mention, which can be also a tip, is that when you have a cumulatory in prison, so let's say that this cumulatory has been captured by you, you get one more action point instantly. So we have
hence
5
why
action
this
points.
can go above 5. That makes sense. Okay.
We have 5 action points at the beginning, initially, and if you have 1, you get 1 more.
If you have 2, you get 2, etc., etc.
Up to 3 more.
Up to 3. Okay.
Exactly. So you can only have 3 cumulatory in prison. You see, otherwise they don't fit in the prison.
I see.
Not too much.
Gotcha.
So basically that's it. So it's a 2 or 4 player games, and so we face one another. And when you are playing 4 players, the same team sits face
opposite. Yep.
Opposite one another. Exactly. And we don't have 5 action points, but 8.
Right.
So, and as we have 8 action points, we have to dispatch them between one another. So either one will do 5, the other 3, and one fighter, one cumulatory, one player cannot do less than 3.
Right. Okay.
So we have to fight 3 or 4.
Okay then.
And it's better not to talk to the other because the opponents can hear you.
Of course. And so it's more difficult to collaborate.
Exactly.
That's cool. I like that.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So here you go for the basic explanation.
And what about sort of like how, what's I don't know, I was going to say an advanced technique, but we don't really need to see advanced. A sort of basic technique for getting the stone over there.
For getting the stone over there. Oh.
Without your opponents giving you too much hardship, I suppose.
So one of the basic technique is not to have your cumulatory on the first 2 lines.
Right.
Because when you have this one enter, you move the stone. Let's say we have another one enter, you move the stone. You move not the stone, but the rotating arena. Now it's your turn. So you just move the rotating arena. You add this one enter on throw. This one is in prison.
Straight out. Intriguing.
This one is in prison. So it's better to move them very fast.
Gotcha.
From
you need to get off that front line straight away. Okay.
Exactly.
Intriguing.
It's really better to not have them in a zone of danger. And this is a danger zone. So it's better to have them at the center or around the stone and to protect them.
Okay.
And then the trick also of the game is to use the rotation of the arena. Because within moments, the odds can change. I mean, let's say let's say I'm like that. I can find the Kumo hold. Oh, it's just here. Oh no, it's all right. It's here. Let's say we're like that, and you're just here. So in 1 or 2 push, I can be in your camp, and you're like this.
Yep.
I move it this way, but no, it's your turn.
Of course, you move it around.
Exactly. So you really need to take into account that the arena is rotating, and you can rotate it in any direction you want, and up to 5 movements. So you really have to.
You have to go all or nothing
exactly,
to get that thing
exactly,
off. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can also have some strategies to take your opponents out. So let's say like that. Let's say this one is on a push. Oh no, on a throw. So I'm gonna lose. I move it, and then this one here. It's really much more difficult for you to get back here, etc. So you have some last-minute rescue and some last-minute saves that you can.
Or
do.
you can block one of them.
Exactly. You can also block one of them or push. With the grab action, you can push one of them. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. Intriguing. I think we've more or less gone around the block.
Yeah, we covered
like I said, it's a game that's it's quite an interesting one, quite an original one. I can't remember the last time I saw a game quite like this one. Beautifully presented. I know I said at the beginning, but it has to be resaid. It is a beautiful game. Comes across very much sort of like a thematic chess, I suppose, in its way. But having played it, I played it at Essen, then I played it here as well, and it's still just as good. So nothing to complain about there. So without further ado, once again, this is Kumo by the Morning Players. Now, remind me of the names of the authors.
It's Nico Pirard and Patrick Jeux.
And it was illustrated by Jeux, who is also an author, an artist for Franco-Belge comics.
Yeah,
so he's the Samurai series.
I think he's the one who drew your.
Yes, he did the drawing on the front, didn't he? It's a game for 2 to 4 players. 12 years and up, I would imagine it's not very high.
2 or 4 players.
Oh, there we go. 2 or 4. Yes, 2 or 4. You can't have it. So not 2, 2, 4, 2 or 4. 30 minutes long, effectively. It's not a long game. And then for 8 and up, because even kids can be sumos. Exactly. There you go. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you, Marie, for coming in to explain the game. I hope that helps. Do make sure you check it out. If nothing else, it is a beautiful piece of board gaming art. So give it a once look over. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.